Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. There is some worst gear of the year. Everybody likes to put out their best gear of the year. I got some stuff that kind of made me wishing for more, wanting more, buying more. Let's check out my trash gear list for 2022.
I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul.
Now, the first thing we got to talk about is going to be the Vessels survival kits. Seems to be pretty well made and you can get it in multiple sizes. This is one of their DIY kits that I purchased. Now, the makeup of most of these kits are relatively quite often mostly the same. So one side has a compass, one side has a flashlight, but the flashlight no longer works. This thing is supposed to be pretty water resistant, if not waterproof. You can see here I got this thing, you know, it got wet on a camping trip once and most of the items inside were ruined. Let's see if we can pull this stuff out. I mean, this is pretty crappy. You can access this thing from both the top and the bottom, but the top part barely opens anymore where the compass is located. A 4-hour beeswax candle, 4-hour beeswax candle. Let's see if this thing got wet. Yep, that's pretty much ruined. So this kit is, I was excited about it. And when I took it out for its first usage, first on a camping trip and then on a hunting trip, everything got wet, everything got ruined. The flashlight turned on one day and because it was wet, I could not get it to turn off and it just stayed on until it died. All right, so here's the thing. When it comes to the world of mini survival kits, my recommendation is going to be go with something that is either made of a high durable cloth or with a company that's a little bit more well-known like Best Glide or Essie, because this kit just did not do it for me. And I would not buy this again, although I own several of them and they're in some of my indoor kits, which are nice and dry, but I wouldn't buy this again if I intended to be outdoors for an extended amount of time. All right, so next has to be the Axwell wallets. And lo and behold, these things literally just dropped in October. I have it in the copper and I have it in the green colorway. The copper's already starting to patina. I've carried the copper a lot since October. Here's the thing, their logo's already beginning to scrape off. And I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan that they had their logo plastered up there, but if it's gonna be there, make sure that it's there, it's well done. This is just from normal pulling in and out of my pocket. This logo is beginning to come off. Not the biggest fan of that. This wallet literally, so I have the green colorway, literally I've only carried this wallet 4 days all together, not consecutively. This wallet shares the front left pocket normally with a flashlight, sometimes with a multi-tool. It's already beginning to scrape. Now, I understand these things are modular and I could take this thing off and replace it, but I don't want to have to do that. These things are between $70 and $120, depending on if they're on sale or if they're at their MSRP. Imagine spending, let's call it the low end, $72 on this wallet, and after 4 days it's already starting to discolor. I would be very upset about that. Full disclosure, Axwell sent me several wallets and I bought some wallets just to have my own ability to kind of form my own opinion. Unless you're highly interested in the weight, in the patina, the only one I could recommend at this moment would be the copper, just because it does have that nice patina. If you want the copper, go for it. If you want the regular colors, I would say trash, and I would pass on these wallets for now. Let's see if they get it together in the future. Next, we move on to the world of writing utensils. I'm a big believer in EDC pens and notebooks and stuff like that. Now, I did do a video recently say if you don't need it, don't use it. I use my EDC pens, my EDC notebooks. My first disappointment has to come from this company called Everyman. I think they're still selling on Amazon, and they have this little logo here that's pretty recognizable. It looks like a letter E, I guess. And it was a pen that's not bolt action, but it is made of a pretty high, very great material, feels really good in the hand. It writes really, really bad. The spring mechanism's really poor. Sometimes the pen would just retract on its own. I never use this pen. Matter of fact, this is going to file 13. That's how trash this is for the year. And I am sad to say that the tactile turned pencil, although I am in love with the absolute finish of it, I got it in this brass colorway and it's already beginning to patina, but it breaks so often when I try to lay down lead. This is like one of the worst mechanical pencils I've ever used in regards to the writing experience. You can't put any pressure or the lead is going to break. Maybe I need to just try some better lead. $99 is a big nut to spend on a mechanical pencil that doesn't lay down lead as well as I would like for it to. Recommendation would see buy this with caution unless you really like it. I would just avoid the tactile turn mechanical pencil. Next on my list has to be the best selling carabiner on Amazon. This is by Rhino Products. I mean, it's super high selling. So the way this thing's supposed to work, you're supposed to be able to spin this down, access the carabiner, spin this back up, and this should not disengage. See that little play it has there? It shouldn't disengage when you have this all the way up. Listen, I tested this thing out when I bought the best selling Amazon kit on Amazon, and I wanted to test this thing out, and I lost some keys using this thing. Caution me, would I say trash or pass? For the Rhino, if you're going to be using it every day and putting it through its paces, complete pass. Listen, guys, let's jump into a little bit of disappointment when it came to the world of EDC. First, I have to go with the Magnum by Boker. Boker makes all sorts of knives, and they are kind of one of those companies that makes knives. They're pretty quietly just putting out normally high quality knives. Now, this thing is normally MSRP $52. I think I got it for $34.99. I really just wanted some budget steel, something that seemed to be pretty beefy, but this mechanism has been horrible since I got it. I oftentimes can't even open it. Now, I don't like whipping my knives to open them, but I can't do that with this one. I really have to whip it, which is dangerous because I could let it go. So that's the only way I can open this thing one-handed so that's a big issue. And it also has horrible action trying to close. So when I push the button, it will not go down on its own. I know I could send this in to Boker and they probably would service it. I've tried to take the hardware apart. I've oiled the knife. You can even see maybe remnants of a little bit of oil on the blade. I've done everything I think I can with this thing. And so because of that, this item has only been carried 2 times. Even at $34, it's hit and miss off the factory floor if yours is going to be reliable or not. And I can't recommend this one. Now that brings me on to my next knife of disappointment for 2022. It has to be the Spyderco Delica 4. Now, this knife was purchased with the intent of using it as my travel knife. What does that mean? That means I throw this in my TSA checked bag, and if it grows legs, I won't be entirely disappointed if, it was confiscated by TSA or whatever the case may be. It comes in about $88. It does everything that I need it to do, but what the Delica made me realize is I really appreciate my knife drawer and my collection of knives. It does everything that most people need it to do, but there are just a few things that are lacking from the Delica that I notice whenever I carry it. First of all, here is the Spyderco PM3, the Paramilitary 3. This thing comes in about $40 more oftentimes, but it's just a way more pleasurable knife to carry. I mean, it still has the full flat grind, does everything else, but hey, listen, it already has a step ahead. You can spotty flick this knife. It's easier to open. It's easier to close. It looks better in my opinion. And so not directly comparing the two, but it just made me realize that if this is your one and done knife, if you're not a person that collects knives, the Spyderco Delica 4 is going to get the job done for you. When I say trash, I say it doesn't bring me the joy like the rest of my knife collection. So would I recommend the Spyderco Delica 4 coming in under $100? If you want something that's super slicey like this, full flat grind, plain edge, yeah, I will recommend it, especially if you are left or right-handed and it comes in multiple colors. But if you're a knife head, you are going to want to probably pass on this unless you just really want a dedicated travel knife and you're going to check some luggage. That brings me to my next trash gear for the year: proprietary or old charging mechanisms on flashlights. Now here in front of you, I have a ton of EDC flashlights. First off, let's talk about the Olight flashlights. Now, Olight's flashlights, they do make some flashlights that use AA or AAA. But a good chunk of Olight's flashlight uses proprietary batteries and proprietary chargers. Case in point, I have the Olight Arc Felt. I also have the Olight Baton 3. And we also have the Olight Pre-Run Mini. All three these use the same charging mechanism on the very bottom, which is Olight's magnetic charging cable here. And it's super unique. It snaps onto the bottom. It allows for all three of these items to be magnetic. So if you want to use these around the house or stick it to a magnetic item, it's going to illuminate your workpiece. But if you lose this cord, you're asked out. You have to buy another one. You can't just run down to Best Buy and pick up one. To charge the 25R, you have to use this proprietary charger similar to Olight's. And when you use that, it actually magnetically attaches onto the side, and it's very similar to Olight, Phoenix. Let's see if we can move past that. And listen, using old, outdated charging systems are an issue for me. Now, we have the Streamlight MicroStream USB. Now, Streamlight, to be fair, they have updated the MicroStream USB to USB-C. They did that earlier this year. But I just wanted to show an example. If you still have one of these lying around, you still have to access and charge it with micro USB. I picked up another one for Lomov EDC. Same thing with this. The difference with this one is I have to take the entire battery out. For anything that uses a proprietary battery system or an old battery system, trash. Next, we have to talk about an item I thought was a brilliant idea, especially coming out of that very first the end run of COVID and the lockdown, was having my own straw. This thing sucks. This thing's so bad. It's completely nearly impossible to actually get the liquid to flow through this thing if you don't perfectly have the rubber gasket that's on the inside. I would not recommend an EDC straw. I don't know why I thought this was going to be a good idea. I took it to several different places, different restaurants. My friends looked at me like I was a complete knucklehead. It does come with a nice carrying case and all of that good stuff. But would I recommend this thing again? No, I would not recommend this thing again. A EDC straw was a good idea in my mind. Next, we got to talk about my trash EDC multi-tools for 2022. Both of them seemingly by Gerber. Now, I love Gerber products, but these two Gerber products did not do it for me. First, we got the Lockdown Drive, and this thing is overall, my favorite mechanism of it is that it does drive, hence the name of it, regular sized, common 1/4 size bits. So if you got these laying around your toolbox, you can load this up with bits you already own, unlike Leatherman's, and you can drive different fasteners with common bits. Everything else about this thing I don't like. First off, it seems you can't readily identify the item that you want to get to. It's hard to know, oh, okay, I just opened the small knife. I didn't mean to do that. I actually wanted the full size blade. Do I have the full size blade? Oh, no, that's not it either. That's the number 11 utility knife. Oh, okay, here it is. So it's hard to identify the items that you want to open. It's also a little bit dangerous opening those items, especially if you try to do it one-handed. I did a whole video about this. Opening this thing one-handed, it allows for your thumb to possibly scrape up against the blade. So I will pass up on the Gerber Lockdown Drive. The stakeout tool is just completely laughable. This thing is a one-trick pony that they threw a bunch of other features on, and you can tell. So first off, the major thing about the stakeout tool is literally this tool on the side that pulls stakes out. So if you're camping, if you're at a tailgate party and the stake is in the ground, you can put this down. You can pull stakes out of the ground a little bit easier. And I did use it for that case. Other than that, in the Carabiner, this thing is something that I would completely pass on. The scissors are the worst pair of scissors I have used on a multi-tool, period. They're not comfortable against your thumb and your index finger. They're not very sharp, and I will go through the hassle of sharpening them, but it doesn't have any other redeeming features about it that would want me to go through the effort of sharpening them, like, a pair of pliers or something like that. So the stakeout tool, I would pass completely. Find a different way to get your stakes out the ground. But that's it, man. That is my trash gear of 2022. Comment down below. Let me know some gear that you resent, doesn't bring you joy, you wish you didn't buy for 2022 or you used in 2022. And most definitely, if this is your first time stopping by, thanks for stopping by. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.